Architecture in London during the Victorian Era. Presentation by Madeline Davis. Architecture in the Victorian era was so different and more intricate than any other country because it contained several architectural styles. It incorporated many distinct design methods, and because it displayed artistic elements that could not be seen in any other place around the world at that time. To be able to fully address the topic of architecture in London during the Victorian era, I must first define the word architecture. If one were to look up the word architecture in the dictionary, they would find that it says it is the complex act of designing structures. While that is true, there is so much more meaning behind the word. To put it simply, architecture can be defined not only as a complex act of putting structures together, but also as a complex art of putting structures together well, being able to be held up structurally well and being attractive at the same time. While the plumbing system might seem like a simple thing in the 21st century, this idea did not come around before the Victorian era. When the plumbing system came to London in the Victorian era, lots of tourists decided to come because there was cleaner air, cleaner streets, and much less disease. With a much less disease rate, there was also much less death, so London was a very desirable place to live. So, it can be concluded that the effects that the plumbing system had on the city of London during the Victorian era were all around positive. One of the architectural styles that could be seen throughout London during the Victorian era, which made it unique and intricate to any other design before it, would be the Gothic architectural style. Some of the characteristics of the Gothic style would be the vaulted ceilings. These vaulted ceilings were held up by elaborate columns, which would be simple in the middle and have extremely detailed corbels at the top of them. There would also be rounded arches instead of pointed arches, which can be seen in a lot of other architectural styles. And then the most identifiable characteristic, the rose window. This rose window would be lots of different colors, and it would be shaped in a specific shape which could be identified to that specific. The Romanesque architectural style, although it is very different from the Gothic style, is also beautiful at the same time. Some of the characteristics of the style would be pointed arches instead of rounded arches, and then carved anything. We could be talking about carved columns which held up the vaulted ceilings of the Gothic part of the building, or we could be talking about Gothic carvings which could be put into the columns that held up the vaulted ceilings or the roofs. The layout of homes in London during the Victorian era was a major contributing fact to why houses in London stood out way more than any other city at that time. London was a wealthy city during the time of the Victorian era. Thus, the houses in London were very large. They contained several different levels and many different designs. There could be very elaborate bedrooms, there could be 4 levels, or there could be 2 levels. It just depended on how much money the family had and whether or not they were willing to spend that on how elaborate their house looked. The reason that houses in London were such a contributing factor to why London was a tourist-populated area was because the houses provided segregation, both for the male and the female, and for the social rankings in the house. When the two styles of Gothic architecture and Romanesque architecture combined with the layout of London homes during the Victorian era, a house created would be called a Victorian Gothic home. When an architecture would design a Victorian Gothic home, they would combine both the Gothic architectural style and the Romanesque architectural style. When these two were combined, the house was a masterpiece. It was both dramatic, yet simple at the same time. To conclude, when the Gothic architectural style and the Romanesque architectural style were combined, they would create a Victorian Gothic style. This Victorian Gothic style was unique to the Victorian era, and especially unique to London. With the combining of these two styles, a building was both dramatic and simple at the same time. Buildings in London were unique to its time period because of the Gothic style, the Romanesque style, and the layout of the homes in London. A little bit about me, Madeline Davis. I was born in Springfield, Illinois, but when I was 10 we moved to Guatemala, and then when I was 12 we moved to Honduras. We worked overseas in a boys' sports academy. Some of my favorite hobbies are playing guitar, reading books, and playing with my little sisters. What I'd like to do after high school is still uncertain. I'm thinking about going into missions. One of my favorite movies would have to be the Harry Potter movies because I enjoy watching them with my little sisters. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned a little something along the way. A special thanks to Miss Holman, my Year 3 rhetoric teacher, who gave me the inspiration to do this video and the ability to make it. Also, special thanks to my sister for helping me take the videos and the pictures. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.